In this video, we'll be reviewing Voyant's timeline screen. You can access the timeline screen by clicking Timeline here in the top left. The timeline screen is where our clients' values and time intersect with their money. The first thing that we're going to be doing is showing you how to adjust our stages. There's no hard and fast rule about how you set up your timeline screen, so I'm just going to be showing you a few examples of how you might do this. The first thing that I'm going to do is break up our stages in 3 separate sections. We're going to have our pre-retirement, an early retirement, and a later retirement. So here at age 75, I'm going to double click here in the gray, and I'm going to create an event. Let's call this one slowing down. We're going to give it an icon, and we're going to click done to save it. So now that I have an icon, I can break up this retirement stage into 2 parts. So I'm going to click on my stage, and I'm going to rename this stage early retirement. We're going to keep the stage starting at Judy's retirement, age 65, but we're going to have it end at our slowing down stage. Set that as our end event, and we can keep that blue, and we'll click done to save. And now we just need to rename this later stage. So I'm going to click on it, give it a new name. We'll call that later retirement. And you can give it any color you'd like. I'll give it the color purple. We'll click done to save it. Now, I would also like to add in a few goals for this plan. Goals are going to be trackable expenses in the plan. So the way that you can do that is by going to your plus button here in the bottom right hand corner, clicking the goals icon, and the first thing I want to add is a milestone goal. A milestone goal is a one-time expense like a wedding or a holiday. So let's click on that, and I'm going to do a family vacation. And this is going to be a bigger vacation for the family, so we're going to put it in the plan as a major goal. And I'm going to use this slider bar to move this to leisure, and this just prioritizes this as a goal that is not going to be something that we would prioritize as just a basic living expense that we need to fulfill first. This is going to be, as long as we're fulfilling our living expenses, then we would fulfill this afterwards. I'm going to use this present value option, saying that I do want to inflate this up to a future value later in the plan. And then we're going to go to the timing screen here, and we're going to create an event here in a couple of years when they're 54 and 56. So we'll just double click here on the timeline, give this as a celebration icon, family vacation, set that as a start event, and we'll click done. So we can now see it on the timeline as the family vacation. We don't have any money in the plan yet, so it's going to show as 0% met. That's to be expected. And if I go over to the dashboard, you can now see a big spike in the plan where we have that expense. That expense has inflated up to a value of $21,538. And then if we go into year view, scroll over to that year and click on the expenses tab, you can see it as a leisure expense, and you can see it here as an unfulfilled expense in the plan. And then the last thing I want to show you would be how to enter in a retirement goal. So I'm going to go to goals again, go to retirement goal, and we're going to say this couple has a goal of being able to spend $100,000 a year in retirement. We're going to keep our inflation rate as the plan settings said, 2.5%. We're going to do timing, have that start at Philip's retirement and end at Judy's mortality. And then I just want to use our steps feature to step that down a little bit at their slowing down phase. So we're going to add a step, and we're just going to step that down a smidge to $90,000 at age 75, and assume that they're going to step down their living expenses just a little bit when they turn 75. So now we have the ability to step down our expenses a little bit. And again, we're going to see that that is not being met since we haven't added any assets into the plan. And you can see our expenses here on the chart. Thank you for listening. And remember that if you have any questions while you're working in a plan, you can always hit request support, enter your question into the text box, and share client access.